video.
It drops in as plug into the back.
So what if I don't?
The client logs in and gets.
Oh, okay.
What's Lucy's site?
What is Lucy's site?
Web training wheels? Yes.
This is by one of our regulars. She's not here tonight, but that's her baby.
Webtrainingwheels.com. Yeah, Lucy's excellent if you've never seen her speak. Okay, any other resources? WordPress TV.
WPwatercooler.com.
WordPress TV. Oh yeah, WordPress TV. WordPress.tv has a lot of videos from past WordCamps, right? And other stuff. What was that, John?
WP Beginner.
WP Beginner.
So yeah,
Cool. WPBeginner.com. All right. Where's the? There's an XML file that's pretty common that floats around. It's like a WordPress export to just get you a bunch of sample content and menus and everything all set up for you. I can't think of it offhand. I'll find it. I'll if we take a break, I'll find it and then I'll post it to the Facebook group.
Is that part of the theme development stuff? Is that what we're talking about?
I don't remember where I was trying to remember the URL where I got it, but it literally is an entire, it's like a WordPress sample export file. It's a good starter place to just dump in a whole bunch of content.
Yeah, I think the theme development group uses something like that to do the theme testing before it goes out into the repository.
Okay.
They update that all the time with new tests for the theme developers.
I'll have to find it. I had it the other day, and I don't have it bookmarked.
WP Candy had a version of it.
Yeah, it's right there at the top.
I will, I'll pull it up. I'm sorry.
So essentially what this is, when you download this, it's an XML file with a whole bunch of just sample content, different formatted content, post pages, menus, and you import this into your WordPress site, and it just sort of gives you a sample site, content-wise, so you can sort of see what's possible.
And see how well the theme works.
Right. As long as you're not using a ThemeForce theme.
Right.
That's a joke, Jason. You might want to edit that out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get myself in trouble, I swear. All right. Anything else on learning WordPress before I move on? Okay. So, where do I host? You can turn on the lights for this one. Thank you. This comes up a lot, and we talk about this a lot on our Facebook group, but where do I host?
On a cloud.
On a cloud? Just a random one up in the... I'm kind of asking that as a question. Where is everybody hosting their self-hosted WordPress sites? DreamHost? Mm-hmm. InMotion?
Lunar Pages. InMotion.
Ooh, who said Lunar Pages? Wow, this guy. I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
WP Engine.
Okay, so let's talk about that one specifically in a minute. Where else? Bluehost is a good one.
ICD stuff.
ICD.
ICD stuff. It's a lot of people know about. They're some of the best custom support I've ever seen.
ICE soft?
ICD.
ICD soft. I actually happen to use one called Servant, which nobody else uses. SERVINT. And same reason as Jeff, excellent customer support. So, Suzette, who is a frequent speaker here, works at Media Temple now. So Media Temple does hosting as well. It really depends on whether you're doing kind of the size of your site, whether you're doing shared hosting or you want a VPS or dedicated. You know, those things all factor in. But you also might want to look for a host that has, if you're not familiar with the technical side, a one-click install process. You know, not all hosts offer that. So that's kind of important to look for. I think Bluehost does it, and HostGator, and most of the hosts that are in that range do it. But let's talk specifically about WP Engine for a minute. I'm gonna put Dave on the spot. Are you using them?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, a couple
That
of
wasn't
my
meant in a bad way.
Yeah. A couple of my clients like it. It's managed hosting. So it's a little bit more expensive, but they supercharge everything. It's really optimized, and they update things automatically for you because they want you running those purchase and everything. They really watch out for it and make things run as fast as possible.
Okay. They do a lot of their own caching.
Yes. They
Yep.
Yeah, they do not- They do not allow any of your caching plugins.
Right.
So if you're used to caching with
WP Supercache?
Yeah, Supercache, for example, it's a no-no there. So they run a very high performance environment. It's one that scales really well. It's an aggressive caching approach. And so you can peel back some of that if you need to, but it's meant to be really, really fast, and it works. They also include remediation for malware. So if your site...
That's a lot of big words.
Those
there.
are big words. If your site, well, I was going to explain it. If your site gets a virus, they will clean it off for you for free. You don't pay extra for that.
Cool.
So you pay extra by having an account with them, right? Because the first account is $30 a month, and if you use the DreamHost at $8 a month, it's a 3x or a little more. But it's incredibly fast. The support is really sharp. They boast having the most number of WordPress engineers on staff for support than any other host.
What was the host site again?
WP Engine.
WP Engines?
Yep.
Engine.
I think maybe for a seasoned person, this one might be good, but for a newbie, like, I think because I have that on, and I switched to HostGator, because on the phone, if your site's not down, they'll have you hang up and go to the support unit.
So we're paying for the higher, that's one of the things you're paying for.
What's that?
That's one of the things you're paying for is if you get like a higher level account, then you get the phone.
I put the $99 on, I don't know if that's high or not.
No.
That's too hard.
That's what I'm-
Okay, but they were like really rude the phone, pretty much hung up on me and said, go to support ticket. Or anyone else, I can actually someone on the phone can walk through it.
Right.
So,
Sure. One thing that I will, and that has been a problem, I think they're better about it because they've hired more people recently.
does what?
I think they've hired more people recently, so I think they're better about that, but they are very strict about what you are and aren't allowed to do. So they're trying to cap that. But one thing I will say also with them is they do have backup in your store, which a lot of hosts don't offer. So if your site does crash, you can say, well, bring back 12 hours ago and say, okay, and you can create a staging area on the fly. So you don't have to do cowboy coding.
I feel bad. I singled out Art.
Well, that's okay. I opted out of them as well, just because it's. I had issues with technical support also.
Yeah.
I asked one question, I got 4 different answers from 5 or 6 different guys who were not on the same ticket number. So I said, that's just scary, especially if someone like me who's always in trouble.
So to me, and I'm with Jeff, to me, with a hosting company, with all my hosting partners, support is number one. That's the first thing I look for. Hardware is all the same. Practically, it's mostly the same. So I look for support. But the advantage of WP Engine is it's a specific WordPress host, correct?
That's the other thing I was going to say. All they do is host WordPress, nothing else.
And you don't need a lot of technical know-how to set up on WP Engine. On the other, on Bluehost or HostGator, even though you've got a one-click install, you may need some technical know-how as far as managing the back end.
How about moving site to site? I mean, say you want one host and your year's up, or whatever the contract is.
Developer Day is on.
Well, for undeveloped, not.
If you're a developer in the room, raise your hand. No, I'm joking with you, Dennis. We actually did cover this specifically on Developer Day about moving from site to site. The only reason I'm dancing around this topic is it does get a little advanced because we're talking about moving databases. And that becomes the tricky part. Moving files, moving databases becomes the tricky part. I don't really want to discuss it tonight. That's cool. We can discuss it afterwards if you want.
Erect an altar to bring it.
What's that?
And sacrifice a small animal to it. And you will have moved your database.
How often am I having to call support?
Yeah.
Depends on how often my site goes down.
Okay, so that's what it's about. It's when the WordPress isn't working.
Well, when the site's not working. Servants, I think in 5-6 years, I've called them twice. So we don't have problems there. I'm not going to comment on the hosting companies I've had problems with.
No,
It would take too long.
Yeah.
I used to work for a company that sold an IDX product, and a lot of our customers called in having problems, and it was almost always a hosting problem, especially if they were hosting on a shared server. The IDX, it's just throttling the service, right? So a host like Bluehost, while nice for sites that are small, not very big, don't get a lot of traffic, they have great customer service. But in most cases, we recommend that the client upgrade to a different.
And that's actually a great comment. I want to expand on that. What was the plugin that was mentioned at Developer Day that analyzed the resource logs?
P3 profile.
P3 profile?
It's actually made by GoDaddy.
So Ricardo brought up a great point. It's not always the host. It's usually not the host's fault. It might be yours. I'm not saying yours. I'm saying all of ours, right? So I do stuff that breaks the site all the time, right? And it may just be a plugin that you're running. It might be the theme that you're running. It might be the way you've configured something on your server. And this plugin we talked about specifically at Developer Day because this actually goes through and figures out which plugins are hogging the most resources on your site. It'll tell you right in the dashboard if you're actually taxing the server. And the comment that I want to expand on, I want to reinforce is if you're on shared hosting, you're going to see problems more often than not if you're using plugins that are hogging resources. So one of the best things I can recommend from a hosting standpoint is at least have a VPS if you've got a serious site. Server, VPS, virtual private server. If you can avoid it, and if you can afford it, and if your client calls for it, don't use shared hosting. And
most of the hosting are there.
What's that?
Most of the hosting.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm talking about if you're talking about a bigger site, something that's scalable, and something that you don't want to go down, stay away from shared if you can.
How do you weigh the site? How do you know when you've hit that?
If I'm using it for business, I would do it.
I don't do anything on shared, just from the get-go.
Okay.
And actually, all my sites I just prepare them to be scalable, hoping they'll take off.
I always compare it to rent. So if you're only going to pay $10 a month for rent in your store, you're not getting the security, you're not getting the people, taking care of the concrete out front of your building, you're not getting the electricity in your place. You're paying really cheap for your storefront. Spend some more money and get better hosting. Spend some more money and get better storefront.
The other thing that I noticed in shared hosting, and I think in Bluehost and in Costa as well, they don't have the G-zip mode.
They don't have what?
The G-zip mode, which allows you to compress all the JavaScript, all the HTML, PHP in WordPress, and they don't use that mode. And you cannot compress in files, so the site can load faster. So that's the other thing that I noticed.
And I would assume that's because it's taxing the server and taxing resources for the other sites that are sharing that box. I would assume.
That's exactly right. So what they do, if you're in a shared environment, you're not talking about 5 or 6 people you're sharing with. You're talking about 1,000 people you're sharing with. If you have 1,000 people you're sharing with, and you're only paying $3 to $5 a month, there's a reason why you're paying $3 to $5 a month. They've gone into the PHP modules and they've turned off things like gzip. And so that makes sure that their CPUs on those servers don't get taxed by one site. That doesn't mean that someone still can't end up usurping all the bandwidth, right? Someone wants to upload a very large file and it starts taxing that server, it'll affect all of your sites. if one site gets infected, there's a potential, depending on the kind of infection, that it would definitely spin up the CPU on one, but it could affect all the sites.
Pretty sure it's guaranteed the same thing.
So if you're paying $3 or $4 a month, know that you should take all the rest of the money each month and put it in a bank account to save up for when it's going to cost you to migrate and move somewhere else.
What's that, John?
One of the reasons I would use WP engine is because they share hosting, they don't have a dedicated box. And when you're selling real enhancement code, you get a dedicated box.
Absolutely. there was a comment here.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, when you were mentioning that occasionally one of these sites will go down, are you meaning incredibly slow, i.e. everybody else is using the bandwidth of the
Could be.
computer, or are you actually saying it crashed and died, and in which case, why aren't they monitoring and watching to see if something is there?
Well, the truth is, just because my site's down, the server might be working fine, which is what most hosts are monitoring.
Could be a DNS problem.
Yeah, it could be a number of things that they're not even looking for.
But like the DNS problem, either you configured it wrong, or some other DNS server someplace in
Could be.
There have been times where I've called like major hosts and said, hey, I just got a ping them text message that my site's down, what's going on? And they're like, your site's not down, and then they put me on hold for 5 minutes. Oh, actually, your site is down.
Yeah.
Like, they should have known they didn't.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm thinking, that says something about their customer service if they don't already in fact know that.
But it doesn't. Again, certain. So, and I don't want to get too far off topic here, but certain hosts monitor for certain things, and just because your site goes down doesn't mean it may or may not be wrong with the server.
Could be your ISP.
It
site's working fine.
absolutely.
Everyone else is having people in our neighborhood.
Absolutely. Yes.
Just in terms of page load speed, should a VPN should be faster than shared, right? Is that correct or no?
Page
Are they
load
using
speed.
the same amount of RAM on the box, or is it
Page load speed. I mean, well, if you're cached properly, you're not going to see much of a difference.
Right. Okay. And then would it?
That's not exactly accurate.
Right. But let's say you wanted to see almost as good a performance as you might get with WPN, because there's no question WPN is just page loads like that. It's fast. But for other reasons I couldn't use Magnet, so I went into a VPS, and it's noticeably slower. And then I noticed even on a shared site was faster page load than on a VPS. And now somebody told me that's because they're still using the same amount of RAM.
Again, without getting too, I don't want to get too far into this. Without getting too far into it, I'd be looking at how fast the access is to the database, caching strategies, things like that. And I'm going to leave it there.
Okay.
I do want to mention, though, we've mentioned caching quite a bit here, so I just want to explain very quickly what caching is. One of the top caching plugins that's out there that's very easy to install and use is WP Super Cache. That's the one I use. So if you're not already using that, what that does essentially is makes your site scalable. So you're ready for that traffic spike is what it's for. By default, WordPress is a PHP system that talks to a MySQL database. So if your traffic increases, your connections to that MySQL database increases, and that's typically if you're having slowness, that's where the bogging is. So WP Super Cache or caching plugins offsets that load. It essentially creates a static version of your page that it will expire in whatever time limit you set. So that database traffic is offloaded to the caching system.
So the way to put it, Steve, is when you don't cache, every time you go to the site, it builds the page.
That's right.
Every time.
That's right.
It's not like a static HTML page. The page is built in real time all the time.
Install WP Super Cache. It'll lead you through the process. It'll tell you what you need to do. If it gets too technical, you call a technical person or post it to the Facebook group. And that you want to do that on any site that you set up, no matter how much traffic you're getting. Yes?
Is there such a plugin for a conventional site that's not a WordPress site, but it still has
Cloudflare. Cloudflare. It's one of them. Cloudflare is caching at the DNS level. I know that sounds a little complicated, but essentially what you're going to do is reroute your traffic through Cloudflare before it gets to your site, and the caching actually happens over on their servers. And Cloudflare is free, or was. Free for one site. Thank you.
It's got tiers.
Yeah.
So you use one or the other, Supercat or Cloudflare?
You can use both. They'll work together just fine because Cloudflare sits aside from your server.
Cloudflare, Facebook cache, and CDN.
Yep. So again, I don't want to get too far down this path. It's getting a little advanced. I just want to explain to what caching is. Any other questions on caching, really quick? So again.
Thank you for bringing that up, though. That would be very helpful for us to figure out what's going on in our sites as well.
Absolutely. I would bet if you installed WP Supercache and configured it, you're going to see a speed increase. I would bet. And again, by default, every site that I put into production, I just put in WP Supercache no matter how much traffic I'm getting. That way I'm ready for a traffic spike if it happens. Okay. Any other questions or comments on hosting?
Chris Coyer has a great video on that WordPress TV site.
All of Chris Coyer's videos are excellent. If you've never seen him speak, he's... Yeah. Do you remember what
WordPress TV, it's actually the top. If you go back to that WordPress TV.
Thank you.
You know anything about
You talk about the San Francisco one?
That?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's like 10 4.
20 minutes.
He is very animated. What was the comment over here?
Liquid, we asked about Liquid Web.
I don't know anything about them. Okay. Good.
Great customer 24/7.
That's good. My one beef with Bluehost, I mean they're decent hosting and their customer support is decent. You wait a while to get through to them. It's always taken me 15-20 minutes to get through the customer service person there. So, but I don't mind Bluehost. Yep.
On the topic of speed for plugins, is there a difference between creating your own code versus using a plugin? Would it be faster if you create your own theme and create your own code? Or
No.
Yeah, it's a yes and no. Not all plugins are created equally, and some are created by somebody out of a garage in Russia. So I'll leave it at that. Not all programmers are equal.
So go by reputation.
I wasn't insulting Russia specifically. Are there any Russians in the room?
What have Russians done to you?
Then we'll stick with Russia because they're not represented here tonight. Yeah, not all plugins are created equally, just like not all themes are created equally. Especially them. So what you want to do, and actually that's a great topic, and I do talk about this a lot, but if you're curious about what plugins to pick, pay attention to the Codex. So I'm at the Codex, I'm clicking on plugins. You can hit the lights again, please. Thank you. So let's just look at a plugin here. We'll look at Supercache. So when I go and I'm analyzing a plugin, or I've done a search on a plugin that I'm looking for, there might be 3 or 4 plugins that do similar things. If a plugin is out of date, if it's more than 2 years out of date, you're going to see a notice right up here that says this is 2 years out of date. I would stay away from anything that old. But pay attention to what's going down on the side here in any plugin that you're reviewing, because this is important information. Look at how many times it's been downloaded, look at the last time it was updated, look at the ratings, how many times it's been rated. It might have 5 stars, but if it's only been rated once, then that was rated by the developer himself, or herself. What's that? Or mom, right, yeah. I cannot get my mom to rate my plugin. Yeah, I know.
You should call her more often.
So that's an inside joke. We're gonna leave it at that. So pay attention to what's going on the side here, and if you use a plugin, give feedback. Rate it, give some feedback, let people know if it's compatible with the latest version of WordPress. This information is important to the rest of the community. That's how this works. So this, a little summarized version of this information shows up inside of your WordPress dashboard, but I always go to the Codex and look here if I'm reviewing a plugin.
Will the creator of the plugin ever reply or respond?
Sure.
Yeah.
And I pay attention to that as well. How involved is the developer? How much do they care about their plugin? How much do they care about their technology? That tells me a lot about what kind of a coder they are. You know, if it's somebody that never replies, I'm probably not going to use that plugin.
Do that on the WordPress group. So you put a link up there where you can put in the URL and you can see what theme you're using and what plugin you're using. It's
Yep.
really cool. I don't have that link. Some things that are really
Yep.
know what plugins people are using.
So let's say I'm looking for a plugin that will add social media links, and there's thousands of them. One of the first places I'll go is, I did just a search for social media. I'll go to most popular, highest rated, and sort that way. So these are all the ones that have 4 or 5 stars. I'm not seeing exactly social media plugins, but here's Sociable, which I know is a pretty popular plugin. Again, downloads are in the millions. Once it's there, it's probably a decent plugin. If downloads are in the thousands, then you have to be a little bit weary. Okay, so again, 2 million downloads, last updated in September. This says compatible up to 3.3.2, which I don't think is correct. But not enough people have put in data to say whether it's compatible with 3.5.1 or not.
Where did you see those numbers, the downloads?
Right there.
Oh, okay.
Right there. So pay attention to those numbers, they're important. Themes as well. Any free themes that you're downloading off of WordPress, they have the same ratings. Questions or comments on that?
How did you get to that page?
What's that?
How did you get to that page?
Magic. WordPress.org.
Okay.
And then I clicked on the plugins tab.
So what's Codex mean?
The Codex is just the WordPress document. It's the documentation.
Oh.
It's the sort of the open source wiki area. It's WordPress.org. So anything you search is going to take you into the Codex to find information. The Codex is not all Codex pages are created equally. So if you're looking for something, you may find it, you may not. It is sort of managed by the public.
Are some of those created in Russia?
Maybe. Yes.
Burkina Faso.
Say it again.
What WP theme is that.com?
What theme is that.com?
What WP theme is that.com? So this, if you're curious if something, actually, the first place to go before this is builtwith.com. So if you go to a site and you want to see how they built it,
That is good.
builtwith.com will give you some information about how they built it. Let's look at Zeke. Hosting provider is Servant. Yeah. Theme Forest. Done in it tells me it's hosted servant done in WordPress. Okay, so this will give you an idea as to the technology, and Dave is the one who turned me on to this site. So this will give you an idea as to the technology that was used to build the site if you're curious. You're not always going to find exactly what you're looking for, but this will at least tell you if it was done in WordPress. Now I know Zeke was done in WordPress. We will go to what WP theme is that.com, and I'm typing in Zeke.com. So it's done in Woo themes. So we used a theme called PixelPress for Woo, and we customized it a little bit to change the design around. Our secret's out, Jeff.
There was no secret.
Oh, right. Plugins. WordPress SEO, Sociable, Flash Video.
Only Steve and I ever look at the site, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. But we use a caching plugin for those 2 users a month.
Well, we spend a lot of time refreshing it, so.
There you go. All these tricks are on the Facebook group. This is the stuff that we geek out about. All right. With that, let's go into a little show and tell, and I'm going to put Gregg right on the spot because he's ready to go, right? Come on, you go first, and then we'll have Sarah go. So, with that, I'm going to bring up Gregg Franklin. Big round of applause for sitting on the spot. There you go.
Switching over because
Can I heckle Gregg too, or is it just you?
What's that?
Can I heckle Gregg too?
Heckle him all you want.
Okay. I just wanted,
He's good.
I just wanted to make sure.
Is everybody heckle time?
You good? Again, Gregg Franklin.
Huzzah! Go Gregg.
So what I'm showing here is I have a client that they wanted a listing site that shows, they wanted to be able to show different adventures and that kind of thing. And so I went ahead and used a theme that's very business directory. It's made by App Themes. And this is what it looks like when you install it. So it gives you a list of the different items. But we've gone ahead and changed the whole look of that. There we go. So on the front, we basically changed the look. We put a slider in. It links over to all the different kinds of, and then to do there, let's see, we go to the adventure.
It's a directory where those people are paying to be in there?
That's correct.
Been looking for an adventure.
Always.
So the theme uses something called custom post types, which allows you to go ahead and create listings. So for them, we wanted to expand on that quite a bit. When it first comes with it, it comes with just basically the address and the phone number and a few things, but we went ahead and enhanced that. So I'll go ahead and show you that. So down here you can see it says additional information. We give each adventure its own tagline. We have an additional details box. We've added their logo. We have a gallery. We go ahead and include a special offer, a cost range, videos, all these different things that this client wanted to be able to present to somebody that's visiting the site. These were all added, all these what's known as meta boxes were added using a plugin called Custom Fields, which Steve raves about a lot and turned me on to, and I love it. It's great.
What is it called?
It's called Advanced Custom Fields.
It's a plugin?
It's a plugin. And it will add meta boxes like you're seeing here to pages, custom post types, posts, anything. So if you want to add something to that, you can. And then from there, you have to have some code or something that's going to display it on the front end. So this is creating it on the back end in the dashboard.
You can create your own field?
You create your own. Advanced Custom Fields lets you do that.
Do you know if I can create the paragraph text like that, bold, italics in Gravity fonts using that plugin?
Different world. So Gravity Forms, you're creating your own fields. They are not meta boxes like this is.
But I cannot use that plugin to somehow get that sort of a box.
No. Are you looking for the WYSIWYG box, the one with all the little icons?
The box.
There is a plugin that you can get right off of WordPress.org that adds that functionality to Gravity Forms.
So one of the things you can do, it just depends depends on what you're trying to do. Advanced custom fields will let you create those meta boxes. So advanced custom fields is the plugin that he's showing you right now. It will let you create everything that he's showing you right here. Gravity Forms is meant for outside, not in here, not in the back admin. But you can create a form in Gravity Forms if you, for example, in this case for an adventure, if you wanted someone on the outside of your website to fill out the creation of an adventure and have it deposited here, have it create a post for you with Gravity Forms and a little add-on, you will be able to capture all that information, create the form with all that data, and it'll put it into these meta boxes here. In these meta boxes, you would use what he's showing you, which is the advanced fields.
So let's go back to a particular, we'll just go to this Jeep Rentals. So all that data that we were just talking about, their logo gets populated here, this is the tagline, their description, all those kind of things. Here's all that extra detail. There's even some code that if there was a video inserted in there, we would have another tab show up here that would show a video tab. So just a bunch of things that they had requested that gets integrated in with WordPress. It lets them do all these things. There is one other neat thing that you can do. Instead of using Gravity Forms, Chris turned me on to another form plugin called Formidable. And what it does is when we click on this box here for special offer, it goes ahead and populates, brings up a form that the client can fill out. When they send and that gets submitted, it goes ahead and grabs the information for this particular adventure and sends it to them as a coupon, which is what, and on the back side of that, it also gets injected into Constant Contact.
What's the benefit of Formidable over Gravity Forms?
Chris helped me with this because Gravity Forms doesn't work really well with custom post types as far as gathering the dynamic data that's coming in from the custom post type. Formidable works really well for that. So it's just doing a better job. They both do very similar things. I was surprised how, if you're familiar with Gravity Forms, you'll pick up Formidable in minutes because they are so similar. So.
I'm working with Gravity Forms and I'm experiencing some problems, so that's a very great point that you brought up. So when you say custom post type, meaning when the form is filled in, would it automatically populate the post or the page?
It can, yes. In my case, it's actually auto-populating the email that's getting sent out.
I see.
Because I wanted to be able to send out for each one of these adventures, there's that discount. Okay, they're going to get that discount. So we want to be able to transfer that information out of the database, grab that information, and send it to that client to receive that.
Okay, the meta boxes that you added seem to be only displaying on the individual adventure, but is there a way to actually add some of that information to the listing page where they're all listed? To add something, insert some on the previous page?
Like an excerpt?
Like anything that belongs to this could go, hit your back button. Where you saw, because you have a bunch of listings.
She's so bossy.
I know.
Yes, Priscilla, yes. Yes.
Faster. I'm sorry, you're not behind the phone.
I'm practicing my stink eye. Is some of those meta boxes, could they be displayed in this area?
Yes, they could. They're not currently, because this is pull Vantage, the theme Vantage creates what we're seeing here, but we could have very easily put anything we wanted here. For example, we've got the address, but the phone number's not here. And I am collecting the phone number in the back end, so I could have taken that theme and said, I want to display the phone number in there on the front on that listing also.
Okay. Is that just adding a hook or something?
I'm sorry?
Is that by adding a hook to your template?
A hook or actually not necessarily a hook, you could just go ahead and just echo because I'm using advanced custom fields, I can do the get field and display that.
Are you automating the collection of the information on the front end? So can one of these potential clients go and sign up themselves on the front end and put in a credit card and pay for it up front without anybody on the back end having to do anything?
It's a fantastic question, and Advantage comes with that flexibility. However, this client had me pull all of it out. They have no interest in that. I tell you, we had such long conversations on that. It's unbelievable. They want every person, it's a personal contact with them, and they feel that they want to talk to each individual. So they had me remove it. But this theme does offer that ability that if you were looking for a business directory and you wanted to be able to sell that position on here, you could have it where somebody could visit the site, they log in, they pay for it, everything. All that gets done.
So they wanted to scale slower.
Yes.
I'm just asking questions.
Yes, the answer is
Obviously, they didn't want the revenue to come into
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that money, I don't know.
They're on a shirt.
So Greg, who does the editing to get this thing up and running? It looked like there were many of these different adventures. Who puts that in and who keeps that up?
Initially, I put all these in, but they will be trained to do that.
Okay.
Did you charge for that time?
Of course.
Thank you.
Not enough. Of course. And I should mention, Vantage comes with an importer, so you could take a CSV file and import it in. However, if you did do that, the current importer would not bring in all of the custom stuff I developed. But that wasn't necessary for them because they do put things in one at a time, so it was not a big deal to them. Any other questions? No.
Very nice looking site.
Thank you.
Lights?
Great.
All right, Sarah. Round of applause for Gregg. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sarah Wefald, and I am just getting everything set up here. I've never actually spoken at one of these things before.
Don't screw up.
I'll try to do a better job at speaking than I did on these websites. How's that?
Projection, I want to hear you talk.
Okay.
Just look at my eyes.
Whoa.
Yeah, look at the guy with the mailing answer to stuff.
That's
Where
comforting.
you are.
This looks weird. Is this like a display thing? Clearly. Help. All right, so I work for a company that manages a bunch of bands, and some of them are nice. Thank you. Some of the bands are, fairly well developed and have people who actually know what they're doing create their websites. I know enough to be dangerous, and I've been coming here for about a year and a half, and thanks for all of the awesome knowledge in here, I've been able to put together a couple websites that I only broke a few times in the process, and thanks also to everyone in this room that helped me unbreak them. So basically, for the bands that I've done websites for, and I'll show you two sites in particular tonight, are both based on this theme here from the aforementioned Woo themes. This one's called Unsigned, and it's fun in that it's meant for bands. So this is that page. This is how their demo page looks. And there we go. So now you've got some widgets. Got your recent news, and then it uses SoundCloud to host all of your audio files, so that all of these huge, MP3 or WAV files aren't slowing down your website and making your host mad at you. And also, SoundCloud is a social media platform, basically for music. So you get some benefit there for that content too.
And it's free.
And it's free, for the most part, with some exceptions. All right, so you kind of get the idea of what this website or what the theme kind of looks like out of the box. And then this is the first one I did, which is basically just stock, unsigned, very few actual customizations to it. I just took the band's look and feel from some of their EPs and turned it into a website. So got their Twitter, some photo galleries. What's also nice about this theme is that it's pretty easy to create photo galleries without using another plugin like NextGen, which, I mean, NextGen is great and all, but when you're trying to keep things relatively simple, it's nice to have everything just built in. And these links are actually using the links plugin from WordPress. So yeah, while blog rolls are not necessarily things that some people are doing, it's a nice way to kind of give shout outs to people like your friend that's a photographer that takes great shots and comes to all of your shows.
Did you mention the name of this thing?
This is Unsigned.
Unsigned.
Yeah, right here. So that's that, and then when I felt a little bit more confident after this site launched, I did this site. And so I got a little fancy with CSS and pushed everything down out of the way so that you can see the background, and you can the one drawback to using one theme a whole lot is that you don't your site they all start to look the same after a while. So I think the next step for me is going to try and make a theme from scratch, which terrifies me, but I guess.
I mean, I hear that argument all the time, that using these themes make one site look the same over and over. This doesn't look anything like the last.
Okay, maybe it's just because I've been staring at it too long.
Yeah, no, I think you get too bent out of shape over that kind of stuff, because the audience that comes to this one is not the audience that comes to that one.
Right, that's true.
The potential of somebody even relating those two is minimal at best.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
If it's good design, it's good design, and it doesn't matter if they're from the same thing.
Sarah, tell us about the store.
The store?
Are you using like WooCommerce, or are you using?
Funny story about that. I'm actually using a plugin right now where if you click on that, it just takes you to somebody else's website, because we just could not deal right now. But I mean, Johnny just started playing solo. His album's not out yet. He has literally one 7-inch out, so we're just like, we've got time. So.
What are you using to power the events?
The events? This is all bands in town.
This what?
Bands in town. Here, I'll pull it up yonder. And actually, if you, like me, find yourself missing band, like if you have like a band that you haven't seen in years and you really want to see them play, and then you find out the week after they played the show that they were just next door to your house, this is an app that's all, if you add the app on Facebook and whatever else, it will just start emailing you whenever your favorite bands are in town. And then it makes life easy for me, or for people like me who work with like 10 different bands, that I can just manage everybody's tour dates in Facebook using their plugin, and then automatically pull everything into their website.
That's awesome.
So is this a responsive thing? You mentioned that with the CSS you pushed it down a bit.
Oh.
And I'm always a little leery of that one.
Well, right, because yeah, that does break some of the responsiveness. Let me see if I take this out of full screen, it might not. Is it gonna work?
Yeah.
It'll work.
Just push the in the corner. The blue, yeah.
So are most of the Woo themes
So now
responsive?
Some.
it's not perfect by any means, but it'll do.
It's kind of working, but kind of mostly some
Yeah.
kind of.
That's what
And
happens
if-
when you work with the CSS, with the responsive themes all the time.
Yeah.
You create the CSS and things are not working the way they
Yeah.
That's why I was asking.
I mean, it'll work.
Does anybody need an explanation on what responsive means?
Sure.
Yes.
Responsive basically means when your website can tell what the size of the window is, and then decide what version of the website it's going to actually display based on that window size. So it can be a quick and easy way to create a mobile version of your website without having to create a mobile version of your website.
Looks good on my phone.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't, it would pass my review.
SEO Buzz had a good article today on responsive web design and SEO as well.
Okay, that's good to know.
It seems to be positive.
Sarah, how was that image done?
This image, I can show you on the back here. The way that Unsigned treats this area on the homepage is it's a slider. It's an image slider basically. And now actually, I'm going to embarrass myself by forgetting where I put it.
It's just one slide.
I don't remember where I left my cell phone most days, but I can remember all of the words to Fleetwood Mac songs. Oh yeah, here we go. So it's just under the slides menu here.
It's just
and
one
that's site
slide?
background.
You just put in one slide so it doesn't go anywhere.
Yep.
Smart.
I'm like done. And then it automatically shrinks and everything with the size of the window.
It's a great site.
The image itself, though, how was that altered? Was it Photoshop or?
Oh, that was that was basically the artwork for his 7-inch that I just took into Photoshop, took all of the background, took all of the other layers off of it, saved as large as I could get without slowing down the site too much, and then just put it in the site here.
Just use what was there already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the difference between a slide and an image?
With the slides, it's a little bit easier for me to just very quickly change out the background without actually dinking around with any of the code. So I just do that here. Like I could change the way that the whole website looks immediately just by clicking on that.
Was that what's into the theme?
Yep, this was all part of the theme.
So you used something that was already built in. Okay.
Yeah. So when his album finally comes out, it'll take me no time at all to completely reskin the site.
But is slide like a slide, photo slide?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And then, one of the things that I did this time around that I didn't do on the first site is that I actually took the time and effort to create a child theme. And I mean, time and effort is, kind of tongue-in-cheek, because basically to create a child theme, all you do is create, it's just a CSS style sheet that gets dropped into a zip folder with some information, and it's all in the Codex if you ever want to try that yourself.
There is a plugin that does child things. It's called
So that adds more things. The child things brings in more things.
I customized a lot more on this site. Like if you look at the news, come on. Like the stuff used to show up over here, and I've decided I wanted it on the left. So I had to, in order to make that change, I had to go in and actually make a change in the code. And if you're using somebody else's theme and you're going to make customizations like that, you don't want to touch the core code, kind of like how you don't want to ever touch anything that's like a part of WordPress core, because anytime you make an upgrade, all of your changes go away.
Oh, I see.
So that's what I did. Anybody have any other questions?
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks for being nice. My first time up here.
Yeah. Oh, Jack's coming up. Jack's coming up.
Don't read into that.
What the hell? Get serious over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff's in, everybody. Yay.
One of those things cranking up. I just want to say that I was super pumped to see how many of the Orange County Brethren not only went to WordCamp Phoenix, but there's a lot of speakers from this group, so well done putting yourself out there and giving back to the community. It's very appreciated. Okay, so this actually builds very much off of what Greg was already talking about. He was talking about custom fields, and I was actually going to show stuff about custom fields. And this is also, embarrassingly, also a tour website. It turns out Greg and I are kind of doing the same project at the same time. But specifically, so the first time Steve showed this off, a question I had was, can you relate one custom post type to another custom post type? And if you've ever built custom post type before, and one of the fields you're adding in is like a multiple select of another custom post type into that custom post type, it can be done, but it's not fun, and it's certainly not good usability unless you spend a lot of time doing that and developing a user interface and everything. But turns out, so the advanced custom fields on its own, like Greg said, is a free plugin, and it does amazing stuff right out of the box. But they have a couple paid add-ons which are well worth their weight in gold. Although I only have 2 of them. If we look, we'll see they have a gallery, a flexible content option page, and a repeater field. The 2 I'm going to show you are the gallery and the repeater field, and how to relate custom post types to each other, which again is part of the free plugin, if you can believe that. The option page I don't have, but I think I can explain it. And the flexible content, I think I know what's going on there, but I don't have that one either. So if you're very new and you don't know what a custom post type is or why you'd be using custom fields, I apologize. Probably not going to have time to cover that. But if you're a developer and you have made a custom post type, prepare to have your mind blown. Okay.
Wait.
Oh no, get ready. You might even want to sit down. Now, one thing the plugin doesn't do, I want to say also, is it doesn't create custom post types for you. You have to do that either on your own or through another plugin. I think there is a plugin that makes it just a very basic, like now you have a custom post type, which is fine, and then this takes care of the rest for you. Custom fields, so you get a little menu item down here, it says fields. And, well, let's start with, okay, so the website obviously does tours as their main thing. Within each tour, you can also choose optional tours that are associated with it. So let's say we're going to Los Angeles, and they have like an extension tour that also goes to San Diego. They also have extensions, which are things added onto the main tour. So let's say, again, you have so you go to San Diego, and you can also like get a day at SeaWorld kind of a thing. Very good example, thank you. Hotels that are associated with the stay, so it's like a 10-day tour across the Himalayas. You know, these are all the hotels you're going to stay at. It seems like I have one more custom post. I have a couple other ones, but so within tour is its own custom post type. So within tour, I need to be able to select, well, not me, but the admin needs to be able to select which optional tours go with it, which extensions go with it, and which hotels go with it. And when I was pricing this out, I thought, oh my God, how am I even going to do this? And along came the advanced custom fields, which so here's like your main, title and content. And you'll see I have a ton of other meta boxes under here. Specifically, let's say hotels. So if you want to choose hotels, so again, if you're building this on your own, you can, in the meta box, you can say, go and give me all the hotels, turn them into a select list or a multi-select list, and let the user be able to select that. But this interface is fantastic and so much better than anything I would have done on the budget I'd given them. So I told it, go and find all the hotels, and you can see them all listed down. So it's in this nice little box. It's not a huge select list, and you saw it lazy load there if you're looking close. Let me see if I can do it again, right there. So very fast. And then like, oh, I need this one, and I need that one. Oh, not that one. Let's get rid of that one. Total piece of cake. Is anybody impressed already? I'm not hearing oohs and ahs. I was going berserk.
So who entered that data? Is our
the admin will have. The admin. So an admin would have gone in, and anything I've entered in this hotel, custom post type is now going to show up, in this list down here.
Did they import it like through a CD or something like that? Is it imported that?
You could. It's going to be tricky though. Because you gotta have already had that custom post type. Well, not necessarily. You gotta kind of build a custom importer to make that happen. But yeah, you could.
Jeffrey, what field is that used in that?
This one here?
Yes.
So in my custom fields, I have so all these are different meta boxes that I've created, and they're not necessarily associated with any one particular custom post type. You can tell this one goes with tours, and this one goes with pages, and that one goes with posts. So that one was tours, hotels. So in here I just have this one field. I give it a field name, and the field type is called relationship, so this one compared to that one. Other things you can do is make it required. Let's see. Somewhere. Oh, so this is where it shows. So what post type should this custom box or this meta box show up on? I said only on hotels, but I could put it on any of these if I wanted to. Just not appropriate, but it could be. You can even get crazy with like how many maximum posts to show in conditional logic, but again, I wasn't going to get into that. But now that you're seeing this, okay, repeaters. Well, let me show you galleries first, because repeaters is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I was pretty stunned.
Yeah?
Like I sat there for 10 minutes going, no way, and it was only $25. And I said, that was only $25? Because if I had to program that and I would have bid it out, that would have been weeks worth of work, minimum. And then this guy saved me, again, weeks of my life. So I applaud him, and you should send him a nice email telling him thank you. I've sent him one already. I'll probably send him another one.
He lives
in New Zealand, so I don't think it's going to have to be too fresh by it. Here's a stock from America. That's kind of cool, right? Okay, galleries. So in tours, so again, same thing. I went to, I keep looking over there. Custom fields. So in tours, I have a gallery box that I made. And again, just one kind of field, and the field kind is called gallery. But this is a paid extra at this point. So what's cool about this is, so again, we go into our tour here, and you'll see okay, here's a meta box. I'm trying to stay out of your way. There's one called gallery. And it's very similar to the media box that you have in just the native WordPress thing, except that all these images are specifically linked to this post. You can delete one if you wanted to. You can move them around, change the order. You can add in new images with this little add image. You can change how to view it for a little more organized view. You can add new images to it. The only downfall so far, not even a downfall really, is if you use the media tags plugin to help organize it, because if you have like thousands of images and you like to use tags to organize them, you can't use the tag. Usually there's one extra tab up there if you're using tags, and it doesn't hook into that well. They're trying to make this happen. I wrote to the guy when I was stalking him and said that would be cool, and he said I agree it would be cool. I'm working on it, but it's not done yet. So again, just add images like you would, but again, it's going to associate it specifically with this gallery area. And then there is a function. If you ever get stuck on, Priscilla was asking about how to get the. So you put this information into your post. How do you get it out and put it on your template? They have excellent documentation on it. So let's see, field types. So you use. Let's see if they have a gallery. So gallery specifically, learn more. We're going to do that. So you're setting it up. There's your edit screen, which we were just looking at. Just adding images. And then template usage. So they even give you like sample code that you can just kind of cut and paste and bend to your will on your templates.
My kind of code.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. No, they're so good. It's so useful. So not only is the plugin great, the documentation also very good.
Jeffrey?
Yes.
I don't know if you know this yet or if you've discovered it yet, but another neat thing about the way this plugin is coded is if you design something here with advanced custom fields, if you design it all and you create all those lookup lists and everything else you're configuring and creating, and you're doing it, and you plan to use it on another site, you can export the whole thing out as a file and import it into the next site, and it's all there automatically for you.
Yeah, so what Chris is saying is, just like with Gravity Forms or even WordPress itself, so if I've created all these meta boxes in custom fields here, and let's say I'm going to build another tour site, and I want to do all the same stuff. Just like you can export all your WordPress information, and you can export your Gravity Forms, you can do the same thing with these meta boxes that I've set up. You can export them, and I can import them into another site, which is super easy. And you can even, Steve showed, you can export the code out and put just the code into the site if you're super advanced, if you don't want this plugin kind of hanging out. So you develop with the plugin, then you put the code in and take the plugin out, and it should still keep working.
Tried that.
Although I've been hearing people saying that hasn't worked as well.
There's a reason for it.
There's a reason for it that I don't know about. However,
I'll post on the Facebook group.
Yeah, because there's a reason it's not working. But before I get to the repeater fields, if you don't want your client messing with the custom fields admin, there's a couple ways you can obfuscate it from them. I know, fancy word. The way I did, and this was totally just a quick fix. You can use this code. So essentially, I said if the current user ID equals whatever my user ID happened to be, which this is a development thing, so I was number 1. I just add these styles to the admin page, which essentially says display none for that menu. For you can see this one's edit post type ACF, which is advanced custom fields, and I also did it for another one. So just if you weren't me and you logged in, you would not see that menu. It would still be there, and you could still get to the page. So it doesn't actually stop them from getting to it if they actually know the URL. But chances are, if they know how to get around something like this, then they're probably okay editing it anyway. There's much more advanced and better ways of doing this. I was just in a hurry, so this was a quick way to do it. Okay. Let's see. We have 9 minutes. The repeater field. Okay. This is the one. This is the gold. What's that?
Drum roll?
I know you're gonna see this and go, oh, okay, whatever. Well, the funny thing is, I don't know if any other developers have experienced this, but again, I think this plugin is great, and I think the usability and the user interface is great, which is sometimes there's a plugin that works great, but it doesn't play with.
All about the execution.
Yeah, and so the thing is that you've done your job really well. If people see it and they go, oh, it should have worked like that. That makes sense. Like you spent hours and hours, and this is like the most intuitive thing you've ever developed. And someone comes to it and they go, that's how it should have worked, because it was that obvious. So if you hear that, it doesn't sound like a compliment. It really is. It really did work. So in the case of tours, one thing they wanted to have is departure dates. So they do these tours, again, you're taking the train from Seattle to LA, and it leaves on January 1st and February 1st, and so on and so forth, which obviously is going to keep changing over time. So somehow in the custom post type, we had to keep letting them add in more and more and more sets of fields, because it's not just one thing. And you don't want to put in 50 empty text fields and say, just kind of fill it out. You want to have it be extensible. So there, again, this is totally worth $25. Let's see, so I made a box. It's called dates and rates. So you can see this one is the field type called repeater. And when you set this up, you have to set up within this what fields need to get repeated over and over again. So it makes like a table. So this, with the one I did, there's a departure, which is the date. Land price, if you're just paying for the land plus air ticket, and availability, which they use for, they either say call now or book online, and there's a link. So these 4 fields are going to get repeated as necessary in the admin. So under tours, looks like the same one, Marvelous Hong Kong we keep looking at. We have dates and rates right here. So you see here's this table. So we have, again, departure, land plus air, and availability. And this can be any set of fields that you tell it to keep repeating. So what they're going to do is when when February 11th, 2015 is gone and past, they're going to want to get rid of this, so you can just knock it out with the minus button here. And as future dates unfold, you just say add row, and then voila, there's another row. You can just add new fields.
That is interesting.
Isn't that awesome? It's not just me, right? This is totally cool. But again, it's a really good user interface, and it's slick. Again, I would have spent weeks making something that might have been this cool. I don't know. Probably not. It would have worked, and I would sleep or stay awake at night thinking I could have done that better a year from now. But one other thing that's very nice about this plugin that Steve went over when he showed it off the first time is this guy's incredibly good about staying up to date as well. So not only is the core plugin totally free, really worth its freeness. It's more worth than that. The guy should charge for the basic one, I think. But it's very cool that he doesn't. But like when 3.5 was starting to come out, suddenly this guy was having an update every day. Like he was getting betas and testing it, and when 3.5 did come online and we had to update everything, this plugin was ready to go. And this is a really like heavy lifting plugin. It's like Next Gen Gallery. If they weren't on top of it, when 3.5 came out and they were like, whatever, we didn't test for that yet. You could be in trouble with a live site, especially if you're on a kind of server that says you need to upgrade because we need this to be as secure as possible. So very cool plugin. I think we're out of time. We're way out of time. Are there any questions? Sorry, I was going through this pretty fast.
Which one did you add? Good job.
There was a question. No, it doesn't. So I don't know what happens with his question was with the repeater, did I have to put any extra styles in to make it look like that? No, again, like I said, this guy did a great job with usability. That's how it looks. I don't know what happens if you start getting, if you get a bunch of fields or if you're trying to work on a tablet maybe. I suppose we could play around and see what happens.
What was the other add-on that you added to that plugin? The repeater?
So the two I did, let me go back. I did the gallery and the repeater field. Now this options page one essentially is going to let you create like a theme options page. So, typical things that we make option page for is like what's your address, what's your phone number, what's your Facebook, Twitter, other social links, that kind of stuff. And with this, again, you create the same kind of, so you go into custom fields and you create a new meta box. Let's pretend we're doing that here. Let's say it's up here. Add new, and we'd say, so we'd add a field and we'll say, what's your Twitter? And then what kind of field type is it? We could say it's text, but that one actually is going to be a URL, which I think they have. You can see all the choices if you've never seen this before. So we have text area, which is a bigger box, WYSIWYG, which is going to have all the formatting stuff, image, file that's specifically an image, just any kind of file, a number, which I believe, I don't know if it's integer specific or floats are allowed. Select, which can be a multi-select. Set of checkboxes, radio buttons, true and false. Page link. This is pages within your WordPress site.
Special shout out for that one, relationship.
Oh, the relationship, yeah, that one's awesome. Post object, a date picker, which pulls up the calendar. A color picker, which gets like a hexadecimal. Repeater was the one we looked at. That's a paid one. Gallery is a paid one.
Relationship specifically is related posts. So you have the ability to drag in related posts in a multi-select thing.
Yes, we were looking at that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't here. He showed me.
I know.
I just want to reinforce that point.
Yeah, no, Steve and I were chatting this morning we were chatting each other like, isn't this thing great? Yeah, it is totally great. Which is that I know I've been rah-rahing it all night. Well, for 10 minutes or anyway. So anyway, we choose a field type that would be appropriate to, again, we're getting a Twitter link here. You can put instructions in if you want. Is it required? You can put a default value in. How should it be formatted? Again, conditional logic if you want to. So show this one if kind of a situation. And then you would associate this with the options page, or again with whatever meta box you want it to. Now the flexible content, real quick, I think, and I'm not 100% sure because I've never looked at it, I think what it does is you can start saying content from this meta box should go here on this template. And if that's true, that could be incredibly awesome as well. So again, I don't know. This is my guess. Option space, I'm pretty confident on. I've never used that
Or
one.
maybe it's like the target of a drag and drop. You could drop a picture or a piece of text, almost anything.
It could be. So it says create unique page designs with a flexible content layout. It's like a layout manager. That's got to be awesome. I trust this guy. This guy's awesome.
It is layout.
Is it? Okay. Have you used it?
Yeah.
Is it awesome?
Everything on this, and what's ridiculous, which you already highlighted, is every one of these things is like $20, $25.
$25.
Yeah, totally worth it. So it's $100 to get all these things. And again, if it's saving you 4 weeks worth of programming, which obviously I'm going to charge more than $100 for. Well done. Thank you very much.
I don't know. I know your hourly rate. It's pretty close.
Awesome time saver. So, real quick, we are back here on February 11th for Developer Day, and then our next general meetup, which is like tonight, is on February 25th. We'll see everybody then. Last announcement, we drink both during and after the meeting, so we're going to reconvene over at the House of Brews in Huntington Harbor. If you need directions, let me know. We'll network here for about 15 minutes, and then I'm kicking everybody out because I'm going over to the House of Brews, so we'll see everybody there. Yeah.